Hey, what's up everyone? Aaron here. On today's video, we're gonna go show some houses to a client of mine, and it's Sunday morning and 22 degrees out. Gotta love New England. All right, so here we are in a house in Connecticut and just got done touring this with one of my clients. Now, here's the thing about houses like this. It is in pretty rough shape. The reason that being is that it is in pre-foreclosure and it has been deemed a short sale by the bank. So they've accepted less than what's owed on the property. And sometimes that can make these a really good deal, but at the same time, they can make them a complete mess to deal with. And this is what I mean. And we didn't even get into the basement area, so I'm gonna lock up here and get back to the office. So back here at the office, sitting in the studio, and because it was cold in that house, I figured I'd come back here and shoot the rest of this just because I wanted to kind of go over briefly what a short sale is and why it might be a good purchase for you as a buyer or what you might be getting into as a seller if you're in a short sale situation. So I've got some notes here that I'm going to be looking at, and I also am going to link a article that I found on the Dave Ramsey website, who I think is great for financial advice. If you want to check that out, kind of goes in a little bit more detail of what we're talking about here. But basically, two things need to happen for a short sale. One, the homeowner must be so far behind they can't catch up in their monthly mortgage payments. Or two, the housing market has had to drop so much that the house is now worth less than the mortgage that is on it. Kind of like what happened back in 2008. Now, some people might ask, well, what's the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure? And I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible here just for time restraints. I don't want to waste anybody's time here watching these videos because we all have other things going on. So a foreclosure is basically this. You end up getting moved out of your home. The bank takes title of the home because you are unable to keep up with your mortgage payments or do a forbearance, which is a whole nother video topic that we'll talk on. But basically, at the end of the day, the bank takes the home back. Now, a short sale is where you sell the home for less than what's owed, and somebody else comes in, like a normal, regular real estate transaction. They become the homeowners with a new loan, and then basically your bank, as the seller, as the homeowner, you end up paying the bank back less than what you owed. So let's just say you owe $100,000 on your home. They accept $50,000. You end up selling it for $50,000. The bank gets $50,000, and then normally, now I'm not a tax person by any means, but on average, what I've seen is that the homeowners are then issued a 1099 at the end of the year because you didn't pay back that full amount of money. So that extra 50 grand that wasn't paid off, the bank and the IRS kind of constitute that as income, and you'll get a 1099 for that. Now, definitely if you're in this situation, seek legal advice. I am not an attorney by any means. I just play one here on YouTube sometimes. Yeah, funny? No, not really. But that being said, let's look more into the short sale process. Now that we kind of know the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure. Now let's look at the steps involved of a short sale if you are the home owner. So step one is talking with your lender and a real estate agent and basically having that conversation to see if you can sell the house via short sale. You're also going to probably have to fill out a short sale package and provide documentation to the bank showing that you can no longer afford to make the payments, which they probably already know because you're behind, and that you don't have any assets that could get you caught up. Now, in some cases, you can do this all by yourself, but I would highly recommend that you reach out to a short sale specialist. Now, if you're in the situation here in Connecticut, there are a couple that I've used. There is one locally that's really good. So if you are in that situation and you don't want to put your information out there in the comments, just give us a call, shoot us a voicemail, a text message, an email, and I'll get you in contact with that person. And they're going to handle a lot of the legwork. They get paid from the bank about 1% of the sale price to do all that work. Now, once you've talked to the bank, things have been figured out, you now know what you can sell the house for or what the bank would be willing to accept for less than what's owed. Now that's when you come into step 2 and you talk to somebody like me or another realtor on my team and you go over the sale process. Now, selling via short sale, usually the house hits the market before the bank has completely signed off on it, because the bank wants to see what kind of offers they're going to get on the home first sometimes before they give you a amount that they're willing to accept. So basically your agent, if it's somebody like myself or some of my team, will come in, we'll do basically everything that you would do on a normal listing. There's just some things that we have to put in the MLS that it is subject to short sale approval, and that lets the buyer know that this could take 30, 60, or 90 days or more, depending on who your bank and lending institution is. Now, step 3, once you have a written offer on the property and there has been put a deposit down, all that goes to the lender for approval. Now, with that approval, they can either approve it, reject it, or counter it. Now, step 4 basically is once the lender reviews everything, they're going to end up either, like I said, accepting the offer and letting the buyer know that yes, we can go forward with the transaction, or they might change the terms of that transaction and come back with we need to close sooner, or we need to close later, or the amount of money isn't enough, or they might even ask for more of a down payment. It really depends on each lending institution. Now, step 5, and this is the final step, this is when the closing takes place. So here in Connecticut, we use closing attorneys. Different parts of the country might use a title company, but here in Connecticut, we use closing attorneys. So the closing attorneys are going to be involved every step of the way during this. And basically what's going to happen is money will exchange hands and the title will transfer to the new buyer. You as the home seller will now be out of your obligation to the bank because they would have accepted less than what is owed. And like I said, in most cases, from my personal experience, the seller is then issued a 1099 at the end of the year. Basically, that difference from what was owed and what the house sold for is considered income to you. Now, there's a whole bunch of things you can do with that. And again, I would seek legal advice. I'm not the person to ask for that, and I'd hate to point you in the wrong direction. But overall, at the 10,000-foot view, that is how the short sale process works. And it doesn't move very quickly. Well, that's not true. I've seen some move very fast, and I've seen some move very slow. I've actually even seen some up to the closing date where the people are about to close on the property, and because one person was out of town and couldn't get to the closing table in time. Now, this is way before COVID hit, and we were doing a lot of stuff with electronic signatures, couldn't be there. The bank actually said, no, we're not going to extend it the 2 days that you're asking for. We are going to foreclose on the property. And the bank actually got rid of the short sale and ended up foreclosing on the people. And I think that's kind of messed up, but I'm not a big fat banker, so I don't really know all the ins and outs and how they do everything. Now let's talk about why somebody would want to buy a short sale and some of the things you need to know going forward if you are looking at short sales as a purchase. Now, a lot of real estate investors buy short sales because of the fact they can get a better deal on the property than if it was being sold at full value. Now, that also means you as a home buyer can get a pretty good deal on a property. Here's the thing, like you saw in the earlier part of this video, most of the homes are trashed. There's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of anger being forced out of your home, a lot of embarrassment and things like that. So people do end up trashing the property. Now, that being said, if you're handy, you can usually get into these properties for a lot less than what's owed on them or what they'd be valued at, which means you're going to be walking into instant equity as soon as you fix the place up. Now, that being said, you definitely want to do all the standard things that you would do when you buy a regular home. Now, granted, it's for informational purposes only as for you as a buyer, but the reason why you want to do this is you don't want to buy something short sale and come to find out that it has a bad foundation, the well doesn't work, the septic, if you have one, is shot, or that there's a whole bunch of liens on the property. So for example, I helped a client buy a house in New Britain and they were going to fix it up and flip it, and when they were purchasing it, they ended up finding out that there was like $10,000 in city liens on the property from past water and sewer bills. So you just want to make sure you do all your inspections. So do your home inspection, do your radon, do your mold, do all those different wood destroying insects, all that type of stuff, so you know exactly what type of house you're buying. Because even a house at a good price, if it has, let's say you're picking it up for $100,000 and it's worth $180,000, but maybe it's got 90 grand of work that you have to put into it, that may not be a good purchase for you because you're not going to really get your money back at the end of the day. You want to make sure you're buying smartly. And like everybody always says, any investor that you talk to, you make your money in the purchase, not the sale. So you want to make sure that if you are getting into something like the house we saw today, needed a lot of cosmetic work. So that may not be that bad of a property. Again, the water was off and it was on a well system, so you really can't test the water. But because we saw there was a water mitigation system in there for hard water, more than likely, because it's abundant in this area, then that stuff's already in place. So you kind of know what you're getting into. But my biggest point is make sure that you do your inspections when it comes time to buying a short sale. So here's my final thoughts when it comes to short sales, or what a short sale is, or the short sale process. If you are the homeowner and you are finding yourself in this situation, the first thing you want to do is make sure you reach out to a realtor, reach out to your lender, start getting the process going, because the worst thing you can do is not communicate with your lender and then find out that you're in the foreclosure process so far that you can't do a short sale. Now, as a buyer, again, keep in mind that the timeline is unpredictable. So if you need to move in a house by a certain time, the bank can push things off as much as they like. 2, most likely you're going to be buying the house as is. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing a short sale. And like I said earlier, the home inspections and all your inspections are for informational purposes only, because 9 times out of 10, the bank is already taking a loss on the property. They are not going to put any more work into it. They're not going to fix anything. So if you are looking at short sales, again, your financing is going to determine what you can get. So most likely you're going to be using conventional, cash, or a 203K loan. If you don't know what any of those are, leave a comment. I'd be more than happy to let you know. But that's kind of the short sale in a nutshell. If you want to know any more particular parts of it, because I kind of wanted to keep this video short, let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.